This question asks you, it's an explain question. So for explain, you have to make sure that you are completing your points and statements that you make. So it's asking you to make 2 statements, but then add your explanation to those 2 statements. Now, this requires you to have knowledge about the nutrient cycle, which we've covered in lessons. The 2 key things about the nutrient cycle that you need to focus on in this question are how nutrients is stored, so where it's kept, and how nutrients flows. So the processes between where it's kept and where it moves between those different stores. Now the question says, explain what would happen to the rainforest nutrient cycle if deforestation occurred. So you need to know what deforestation is. I'm confident that you know that that would be the loss of the trees in the rainforest. Now the clue is in this diagram that's given to you here. So the mark scheme, or the advice that I would give you, would be to first off state that the nutrient cycle would break down. So that's the very first point that I would give, that would give you a mark. The nutrient cycle would break down. You could say collapse or fail, either of those things would be fine. Now you have to explain that point, remember, because it's an explain question, you have to explain why it would break down. So the first thing that you should refer to is the loss of the stores. If you get rid of the trees, there is nothing for the nutrients to be stored in. So this biomass here is the largest store of nutrients, and if you get rid of it, you're going to lose that nutrient store. So that would be the second point that I would make. The largest store of nutrients which is the biomass, will no longer be available. Now, there's consequences of this. If you have no biomass, you have no nutrients stored in your biomass, this means that there will be no nutrients to flow into your leaf litter. There will be no way that you can have this created because there is no nutrients to fall as dead tissue. So that would be the next point that I would make. I would say nutrients will no longer be able to flow into leaf litter and into the soil. Now, to explain that further, you can then start talking about the consequences of this. So if you lose your biomass, you lose your leaf litter, the soil is going to be infertile. You're not going to have that flow of nutrients going into your soil. So soil will lose its nutrients and become infertile. Now, because you've lost these stores, soil erosion is more likely. So that's one of the biggest consequences of these processes. So that would be the final point that I talk about. I would say soil erosion is more likely. And there's, on the diagram, this process of leaching. Leaching means where rainwater is dissolving the nutrients. So you can introduce that in your final point. You can say soil erosion is more likely and nutrients will be leached out, so it will be lost through rainwater. The nutrients will be leached out, so lost because of the rainwater. And the rainwater is affecting the soil more greatly because soil erosion is happening much more because of the loss of the stores. and washed away. So that would give you your full marks for that question.